Nothing brings quite as much comfort as curling up underneath the covers of your bed after a long, grueling day, sinking into the soft bedding and letting the worries of the world simply melt away. And long days you have had. Between family and work issues, sleep has been evading you more and more. Tonight seems to finally bring the promise of a long, restful night. You're awoken suddenly by the shifting floorboards. You see a tall man standing there, leering down at you. He seems impossibly tall, with a long trench coat and a wide hat. You try to move, to get away, to scream, but you can't. You're frozen in your bed, staring, as the shadow stares back at you. After what feels like an eternity, the man slowly walks out of your room and down the hall. You dash out of bed, finally free from your paralysis, and search everywhere. No alarms were tripped, no motion on your security cameras, and everything is exactly where it was when you went to bed. Sleep does not return to you that night. I'm Teddy.
I'm Bree.
And I'm Christiana.
Get cozy.
And maybe keep the lights on.
Because you're about to hear something strange.
Welcome to episode 14, The Hatman. So we have our guest Teddy. Yay!
Yes, we have our super special guest on the pod today, Teddy. They've been here once before, and we're very excited to have them back.
They even decided to come back after the last time.
Yeah, we didn't even have to drag them. It was great.
What do we all know about the Hatman? Teddy, do you want to go first since you are our guest?
I knew pretty much nothing before this episode. I was vaguely aware of the phenomenon, but other than that, I really knew nothing in detail.
Christiana?
Same. I mean, I know what you've told me, Brie, in the past, like stories that you've told me, but I've never had any experiences myself. I don't think I had ever heard of it until we met and became friends.
I'm pretty well acquainted with the stories of the Hatman. There used to be a website called, like, the Shadowlands or something.
Ooh.
And something like that. And they had a bunch of, like, shadow people encounters. Yeah, I'm fairly well acquainted with this phenomenon.
I had a lot of video sources from YouTube, both Slaptam and Slaptam Mysteries. Thank you, Callan. And then Bree and I both looked at Stanford Medicine regarding specifically sleep paralysis. Believing the Bizarre episode on the Hatman also.
If you want more stories, they just did a listener encounter episode of Hatman stories. That came out the first Tuesday in February.
Good deal.
What's today's date? The 15th? Yeah, the first Tuesday in February.
Yes.
Cool. Sources.
Yes.
I also used Reddit for some encounter stories, so that'll be fun. And I did watch a YouTube video called Who is the Hatman, the Most Terrifying Shadow Person of All? Which could be like a 2000s emo song name.
Written by Fall Out Boy.
Falling in reverse.
Falling in reverse.
Panic at the Disco.
Yes.
So the Hatman is a shadow figure, but he is always seen with the same description with a few variations. He is always seen wearing a wide-brimmed hat labeled as anything from a old-style fedora to a cowboy hat.
Oh.
And with, yeah. It's
like, yeehaw, I'm walking in here.
yeah.
Yeehaw, motherfucker. You've yeed your last haul, partner. I'm trying to bring some levity to this, guys, because this is a freaky topic.
It is. It's one of the few paranormal topics that actually scare me. Sorry, Teddy.
No, that's okay. Some of the features that are not as consistent are the red glowing eyes, which, what the hell? He is sometimes seen with a gold pocket watch, or checking a gold pocket watch, and he has been reported to be anywhere from 6 to 10 feet tall.
What is with the pocket watch?
I don't know. I think that was part of I think that was mentioned in the Believing the Bizarre episode.
I don't remember that. That's interesting.
And he was just reported to, like, check it. And I'm like, that's freaky as shit.
I hate that.
He's on a time schedule. Like, you need to run out of your room. I have someone else to haunt in 10 minutes. 6 to 10 feet tall. Like, he can't even fit through some door frames.
Yeah. That's
He's a has-been character, guys.
He is. Oh, that would be interesting. Never mind. I do not want to see the Hatman.
Like, wait, no,
wait,
no, I do not receive this.
I do not receive
I
this.
resend this back to the universe.
Vivian Medrano, don't take us seriously if you're listening.
The Hatman always brings with him a sense of dread or impending doom, and some people have even theorized that he feeds off your fear. Those who have witnessed him are left shaken, of course, and with that lingering sense of doom and fear, and some have noted that tragedy follows his encounters.
It reminds me of Black Dog a little bit.
Oh.
Some of the Black Dog
like
trucking.
the Black Shucks kind of thing.
Yeah, Black Dog trucking stories.
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince my partner to do an episode about that. We'll see.
I wonder if it's more of like I don't know if you've done an episode on the Mothman
I was
yet,
just thinking of that.
Mothman.
where it's,
Same wavelength.
My man.
where it's like, is he bringing the tragedy, or is he forewarning of the tragedy? Because if you just show up before it happens, are you bringing it with you, or are you warning it?
Sure. That's interesting.
But given the general sense of, well, I guess it could still go either way.
Either way, yeah.
Wasn't there like a ghost? You remember when the Travel Channel is a ghost channel, but like they used to go to like specific cities and talk about things on the Travel Channel or the Discovery Channel or something, and they did the White House one time. And I imagine they actually couldn't go in there. I could be making all this up. People would report seeing like a spectral black cat right before national tragedies.
I don't know. I know I have many, many books now, and the White House is very haunted, so that would check out.
It
Yeah.
makes sense, because it did the White House? No. It was the Capitol building at one point that burned down, I think. And then they rebuilt it. I feel like it was the Capitol building because it was a big dome.
Didn't Abraham Lincoln have like a crap ton of paranormal encounters?
He is the paranormal.
That is
Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Now that we've had a full discussion, I'll swear.
Can I say one more thing?
Oh yeah.
Whenever I see the word tragedies, I think of the Panic at the Disco song. I write sins,
Sins,
not
not
tragedies.
tragedies.
Sorry.
So, behaviors of the Hatman. When the Hatman appears, he is known to loom over people, whisper threats or warnings, speak in riddles, check the aforementioned gold watch for the time, or he simply just tips his hat.
I don't know why that's a funny image.
Again,
Howdy, partner.
that's I have questions.
You've yeed your last haul, partner.
If I get fucking haunted tonight, and the Hatman is changed into having a white hat, I'm gonna be.
Let me go get the salt water.
You're getting phone calls.
That's fair.
Fair enough, yes.
I'll be awake anyways. Oh my gosh! Tonight I could take a video
Ooh.
of it
Of what?
if the Hatman visits me.
Yeah, it's 2025. We got cameras everywhere.
But in order to catch paranormal activity, you have to have like the worst video resolution and a shaky camera.
You're right. The Hatman often appears when people are first falling asleep or waking up. Unlike most shadow figures who dissolve or vanish, the Hatman will walk out of view of the observer. There's a quote from Ripley's Believe It or Not, quote, "In most accounts, he's also eerily quiet. He doesn't touch you, try to attack you, or sit on your chest like other sleep paralysis, quote unquote, demons are known to do. He often just stands in the corner of the room watching you. Sometimes he hovers over your chest, examining you closely." There are reports from many parts of the world about the Hatman. Most commonly, he's associated with episodes of sleep paralysis, but is also known to appear after using a Ouija board. He's after alien encounters and even people with violent or negative tendencies. Others claim to see him after consuming too much Benadryl. Don't do this.
Please.
Please don't do that. Seriously, guys, it can be dangerous. He is also known for appearing to people when they are children or staying in their childhood bedrooms. That's terrifying.
Yeah, that was a really specific detail that I was like, hello? What are you doing, sir? What's going on?
That's so. When people are either like, because when you're a child in your bedroom, you're pretty vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Or when you're visiting your child at home, you might have some of those feelings that come back, right?
Sure.
So you're in a very vulnerable
state. It
Yeah.
puts you back in that. There's also, I just thought of this because, I can't go a single episode without mentioning Morbid, the podcast Morbid. The girls Ash and Elena did an interview with an exorcist out in California, Rachel Stavis, if you guys have heard of her. She's also a writer. It was a really cool episode. So if you guys don't watch Morbid, or
watch with your ears.
if you guys don't listen to Morbid, I recommend going to check them out first of all, but also this is episode 507, I think.
How do you remember this?
This is actually one that I listen to often enough that I've downloaded it in my Audible because it's such a cool episode. Like, Rachel Stavis just seems so interesting. But in the episode, Rachel mentioned about my close personal friend, Rachel here, talked about how children are closer to spirit because they haven't been socialized by like our society of, oh, that's not normal, that's scary, block it out, don't talk about it, leave it alone. So maybe that's potentially why. And it made sense to me. So I wonder if that's a situation.
And I also think that there's like the theory that since children are like closer to quote unquote the veil, right? They haven't been here as long. You said you're not desensitized to think things aren't real. We talked about what the Hatman is, what types of things are attributed to him. Let's kind of talk about some potential explanations. So these can range from spooky to science. So before we actually get into this, what do you guys think the Hatman is?
Oh, I genuinely have no idea. It's such a specific phenomenon that overlaps with things we already know about. It's a shadow person, but it's not. There is a little blip that, I'll probably talk about later. The California Dark Watchers. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if it is related to that at all. I wonder if the reason why the reports, and this is something that's what really kind of drew me to this topic, is that the reports of this figure are so consistent across the world, across cultures, which is
weird
and very rare.
Oh my God, chill.
Because, I mean, every culture's got their version of, like, a lady in white.
The boogeyman.
Yeah, but this seems to be a very almost modern, in a way, but that may be because a lot of the reports came out once the internet became widely available. So,
I mean, there was even, remember when we did Alba Twitch, I did a little bit of history into the...
That's right, I forgot about this.
Yeah, the history of Chickies Rock, and there was supposed reports of a dark, shadowy figure wearing like a fedora-style hat on Chickies Rock.
Huh.
And, people were trying to say like, oh, this was the native tribes that lived here, this was something that was related to them. But I remember when we did that episode, when Brie and I did Alba Twitch episode, that struck both of us as weird. We were like, don't think the native people wore fedoras? ?
We could be wrong about that, but yeah.
Yeah, they were like all just like tipping their hats at each other, drinking espresso. But yeah, you're right. It is a very... I'm sorry, where you finished your thought. I didn't mean
No,
to
that
cut
was
you
my
off.
whole thought.
Okay. I kind of, we talked about earlier the idea of, is it a harbinger of evil and bad, or does it feed on it? And I kind of feel like if it is some form of, I'm going to use, again, right back to Rachel Stavis here, I'm going to use her term entity. If it is some sort of entity, does it feed on negative energy? Because even thinking about like the situation of, like a really bad guy was in this house, or like if you think about when a natural tragedy is going to happen, there's got to be like, I feel like there's got to be some form of like negative energy in the universe that starts to form like right before that tragedy happens, either due to like, I mean, this is kind of weird, but like the first thought in my head is there was a historically Johnstown Dam, I think, that broke. It was essentially a dam that was built faultily, and the rich people that were building it knew that, did not care, The dam, yeah, exactly. The dam broke and destroyed, like it wiped out a town. It just brutally butchered. If you think about that's like negative energy building up and building up and building up. So is he attracted to that energy and that's what makes people think he's a harbinger of this evil, or versus like he's actually just coming there because there's all this like negative crap going on that he's feeding on? Sorry, that was very long-winded.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I kind of agree with both of you, right? Because there is the, like, I almost said internal consistency, man. No, there is that consistency in reports, right? Because across the board, it is a shadow person that's abnormally tall with a hat and sometimes a long coat or a cloak. And almost everyone reports the same thing, that it's just kind of creeping on them. And most people, not all, but most people have that sense of just dread or unease. There's some differences between accounts. One thing that I noticed when I was looking through Reddit accounts, a lot of the reports that I know of, people have the same thing. Like, I thought this was just me. And then it started showing up on the internet, and people were like, holy crap, this is not just my really weird rendition of a shadow person.
Mm-hmm. Or sleep paralysis. Or
yeah. And not everyone who experiences it is experiencing sleep paralysis in the moment.
Right.
Because if they were just having sleep paralysis, you could almost kind of cross it off as that. But not every report has sleep paralysis in it, even if the person does suffer from it.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I going with this? And I could see the whole, like, feeding off of negative energy. Also, a lot of the reports are with children.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They're going to have more different energy, I would think, right? Because kids just have different vibes about them, and they say really creepy things.
I love it when kids say creepy things. It's just like, yeah, you go off, kid.
You're like, oh, okay.
Pop off, kid.
Pop off, kid. That's
go in.
I don't have a definite idea of what it is either, other than it is just this very consistently reported entity, like, across the board. So let's get into some of the different theories. So, like, theory, our first theory is that it's just a type of shadow person. I say just a shadow person.
Just that.
And I didn't dig into shadow people. This could be its own shebang. Mm-hmm. But shadow people can kind of vary across the board, right? They can go from being pretty, like, chill to kind of almost being demonic.
Yes, I, with doing absolutely no prior research, have heard that before. That there's really, like, oh, it's just something in the corner of your eye, or it's something crawling across the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that's an image. But, like, is it just is it a normal shadow person, right? Or is it a type of shadow person? Is it like
a subspecies?
Or like a breed? Like, you have your thoroughbred horses, and then you have, like, your little demonic ponies.
Halflingers.
Shetland ponies.
Shetlands.
POAs, Ponies of America. Anyways. So the other thing is maybe it is just a normal shadow person with accessories.
Go off, queen.
They just want to look fancy and different.
Yeah.
Like we said, maybe it's not even a shadow person. Maybe it's just its own entity.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is it demonic? I didn't really see too much about people thinking it's demonic other than it just feels really negative. Did you come across that at all, Teddy?
Yeah. It seems to be very separate from what most people would consider demonic, but it does give weird vibe. Like, it gives unsettling vibes, but
right.
it never goes after anyone. It just stares.
Yeah, because it's not like when you have demonic reports, right? You have, like, infestation, oppression, and possession. You don't really have any of that with shadow people reports, right? We won't get too much into demonic stuff at the moment. Maybe not ever, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
have we considered the fact it might just be Crowley? Like, when he's just feeling on one, he's like, I'm just gonna go, like, stare at some people and creep them out.
She's talking about Crowley from Good Omens.
I'm so sorry, guys.
Great. We need some laughter.
We do. We truly do.
Where did the Benadryl thing come from?
I don't know. I think
it's a newer addition to, like, the folklore of it.
It is.
TikTok?
I don't think it's quite that new. So, way your brain works when you experience sleep paralysis is it happens when you are entering REM sleep, which is the cycle of rapid eye movement sleep. You experience the last/start of a sleep cycle. And what happens during that is your body actually starts what's called muscle atonia, where it kind of prevents you from moving. It's part of your natural sleep cycle where so you're not acting out what you're dreaming. You're not walking around your house unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you get really badly hurt if you do that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Go down the stairs, walk into a wall,
Yeah, so the paralysis that people experience is part of the natural sleep cycle.
Sure.
But they are just, there's like a glitch in your brain where you're awake, but your body hasn't fixed the signal to be able to move yet.
Yeah.
So what I imagine is that because Benadryl is notoriously sleep-inducing.
Puts everyone into a coma, except for me, apparently.
Same, no.
You too?
It doesn't do shit for me.
Yeah,
you guys are special.
Apparently.
Yeah. I assume it's part of the ADHD.
Oh, maybe.
I can imagine that if you inadvisedly
overdose on Benadryl,
that it can make it easier for that kind of glitch in your brain to happen.
Okay.
Like Teddy said, it happens when most people are either falling asleep or waking up, and the effects can last from several seconds to several minutes. Longer episodes are a lot more distressing, right? People also experience vivid hallucinations, both auditory and visual, tactile. So touch. It's possibly connected to what the person's dreaming about, but that would be really hard to tell. Sleep paralysis is actually fairly common, and it can be linked to things like stress, narcolepsy, excessive alcohol use, and sleep deprivation. Hey. Have you guys experienced sleep paralysis?
I have not. I have sleep apnea, so I really wasn't getting a ton of REM sleep until recently when I started using a CPAP machine. And I don't know if either of you have ever seen that, but it's basically an oxygen mask. So I am connected to a machine for 8-ish hours, so I don't really move a lot.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. I have, thankfully, knock on wood here, I have never experienced the visual hallucinations, which is weird, but I have, woken up and realized I can't move, and the first time it ever happened, I could see, I was sleeping on the couch. I could see my living room and everything, but I could not move, and it was so panic-inducing. It was awful. I would be like, just lift your finger. Just lift your finger. And I could not. It was horrible. But I have had only once, again, thankfully, auditory and tactile hallucinations, which was made even scarier by the fact that I was pet sitting and I was in a stranger's house at the time. So I was like, what is in this house with me? And then I woke up fully and I was like, okay, well, that explains that.
Yeah, it's not fun. I do get sleep paralysis probably more often than the average person does. It really, we all know her. One of our mutual friends pointed out that I tend to get sleep paralysis in the prodrome or postdrome of a migraine.
Oh.
So I tend to get it before a migraine starts or when the attack is done, but I have the quote unquote migraine hangover. I haven't found anything linking that, so I don't know if it's the meds that I was taking for it. Now that my migraines have diminished to one a week, it's happening less often. It's always with the more severe ones, but I've had tactile, auditory, and visual. Ugh. So what tends to happen is I will wake up, but I can't move, right? Which is normal. I can't even scream. And when I have, depending on how I'm positioned in the bed, if I can see, sometimes I used to get sleep paralysis of aliens, which scares the crap out of me. Or I would see the one time in my current house, I saw this lady with half a face at the end of the bed.
Ooh,
but
nice.
I was also reading the Sandman comics, which is Mazikeen kind of looks like that. So I think that's what that was about.
Okay.
And that sucked. Other times I'll have auditory where I'll be laying and I'll be looking at the wall and I will hear someone walking in the room. But I also live in a semi-attached house. So I'm wondering if I'm hearing the neighbors moving around at odd times. But the worst one was I was having a really, really stressful week at work. I'll put it that much. And I wasn't seeing anything, but I had the sensation of being strangled.
Oh.
And so I'm trying to scream. And so my husband goes this to me and I broke out of it. I swung.
Oh
no.
I didn't hit him, but But like in my brain, I was being attacked.
You're
Yeah.
scared.
Like,
yeah.
I was in fight or flight, and he went to, and I went, bam.
Ooh.
I don't think I hit him. He says I didn't. I felt really bad about that. I don't usually hit people.
No.
Well, I feel like I've heard that before when you have someone that's in like a night terror, you're not supposed to wake them up.
Or sleepwalking.
Or sleepwalking because they can, and it's not because they're trying to hurt you. They just are, it's a startle response or it's a fear response or whatever. And they can swing, they can kick, they can scream, whatever. So.
Yeah, so that's my, but I almost always have a migraine when this happens. So kind of going from sleep paralysis, some people theorize that the Hatman could be extraterrestrial, which is even scarier to me. That it's like some kind of alien entity. Because sometimes alien encounters, that is what they describe. They just, if they don't abduct you, they just kind of watch you.
Yeah, alien encounters, it hits a nerve in my brain
They
where it's
freak
like,
me out.
yeah, I'm like, I can only handle so much of this right now because my brain just, and it's also over sensationalized a little bit for me. So I'm like, all right, this is weird, yes, but you're overreacting, bestie. Take a step back. Pull back.
Take a step back, bestie. I don't know, like, it does kind of go along with the just kind of observing thing.
Sure.
And then the other one I had was that, as I said, multidimensional critter. I wrote this at 12 o'clock in the morning.
Yeet.
Midnight. Or noon.
Midnight.
Okay.
Midnight. I was working on midnight. So I was like, multidimensional critter. Do I actually know what that means? No.
Could it be like a fae?
Oh, maybe. I don't
Like
know.
a really
Really unseelie corvée.
Yeah, like a really angry, not changeling, but
Well, but like, it's not doing anything. It's just being like, I mean, that would kind of sort of fit the whole messing with humans thing. Like, they're just watching you for a reaction.
it's just a real pissant.
Either that, or it's the idea that like there's multiple dimensions in the universe, and some beings can transcend that. I guess I don't know. I'm talking out my ass.
I mean, yeah, like throw it into Marvel here, like the multiverse theory of like,
Oh, yeah.
could it be like someone from another universe, like getting sucked in and just kind of being like, what is happening right now?
The Cybermen in Doctor Who. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
They come through that dimension. Oh, that's such a sad episode because like Rose gets caught in the other dimension, and then David Tennant's very sad.
Our close personal friend David Tennant is very sad.
And then the Daleks come through too. Sorry.
David Tennant, come on the podcast.
Oh my.
I've now identified 3 people you're trying to.
I'm trying. Amir Talai, Blake Roman, David Tennant. Let's go.
Okay.
That gave me another idea. Maybe.
for it.
Uh-oh.
Were either of you aware of the shifting phenomenon? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, I have heard. This is another really fun. It's kind of a podcast, but it's a YouTube channel. Anthony Padilla. He does interviews with different people, and I love him. He does a really, really excellent job. Go listen to his channel. He's done with certain like crime victims. He's done with people of different professions. Like, he does just interviews with anyone you can possibly think of. It's so cool. But anyway, he did an interview with reality shifters, and he had 2 or 3 people on this podcast that were talking about reality shifting versus lucid dreaming. And it was really, really fascinating. So I do kind of know where you're coming from. Sorry, PSA.
Is it related to like glitch in the Matrix kind of stuff, or like the Mandela effect, or is it completely different? Then I know nothing about it. Okay.
I just thought it might be a fun episode that we could do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was really going with that.
Oh, I took it to a place.
Are you teasing it?
You're sitting there like, shut up.
No, that works. There are, I think this was also part of the Believing the Bizarre episode, where it was someone who was just really good at astral projecting. Someone's just really good at astral projecting, and they have this one look that they stick with. Oh. That is what the theory of what the Hatman is. To bring it back around to the Hatman.
Okay.
So how I listen to podcasts a lot of the time is that I'm just reading the transcription, because my brain does not work. If I put an audio on, I'm too bored. But if I try to do something while that audio is playing, I don't hear the audio anymore.
Sure.
Oh.
So, like, I have to balance it out.
No, it does. I know a lot of people the visual aspect in order to like take in and retain information.
So, alien, interdimensional
Critter?
shifter,
Lucid dreamer.
astral projector, weird shadow figure with a really specific sense of style.
Yeah.
From the wonderful site of Reddit, from the subreddit Paranormal Encounters, the user is purple-supernova and is titled, "Has anyone else had encounters with the Hatman?" As long as I can remember, I've seen an abnormally tall, thin shadow person wearing a top hat. I've seen him inside my house, outside, at school, and even at other people's houses. Sightings include seeing him briefly peeping out from behind trees or buildings outside in broad daylight. And a couple of times while using the restroom at school. New fear unlocked. That's me.
Truly.
That's me, not the Redditor. I've only seen his feet standing outside the closed stall door. Even in the light, he has no features, just pure darkness, like a black paper cut out in the shape of a person.
Ooh.
I mostly see him inside, though he sometimes stands behind my bedroom door and sometimes paces up and down the hallway at night. Several times while passing a mirror or other reflective surfaces, I can just barely catch a glimpse of him following closely behind me in my reflection. But when I spin around, no one is there.
He's not a vampire.
Cross that off the list.
Okay.
It isn't an everyday thing, just often enough that I can't discount it as something in my eye or catching something completely normal in my peripheral vision. And another thing is, I'm not the least bit frightened of him. He doesn't have a threatening aura at all, just it's more of a sense of curiosity, maybe. I've read up on some of the phenomena of others seeing the quote-unquote Hatman, and many describe a dreadful feeling when they see him. I never felt that, not even as a child. I was just wondering how widespread encounters are with this entity or whatever it is. Edit. I forgot to add that it has followed me to several houses whenever I've moved. I'm an adult now, and I've seen him here, but no one else in my family has seen him except me. I've decided to list some of the instances where I've seen him. This is by no means a complete list, just a few that I can remember off the top of my head. He should have said off the top of my hat. I clearly remember him standing against the wall behind the door in my bedroom at night, from the time I was still a toddler in bed. He would just watch me, and sometimes he would walk out the door, up the hallway, and be gone. Other times I would fall asleep while he was still standing there. I saw him outside many times as a child. I recall playing with my dog, throwing a ball toward the woods that lined our backyard, and as I watched my dog run for the ball, I would see him standing on the very edge of the trees. Another instance, I was playing in my wading pool with a friend, about 5 or 6 years in age. I just saw his upper body poking around the side of my house watching me. I saw him at my elementary school while on the swing set during recess. Again, it was just his upper body peering around the side of the tree twice. I remember using the restroom at school and seeing his feet underneath the stall door, as if it was someone waiting for me to finish. Had to use the bathroom. I never heard anyone come in, and he wasn't there when I opened the door. Another time, I was passing the gym and glanced in, and he was standing there in the middle of the empty gym, watching me pass by. I saw him at my friend's house, standing in her doorway, watching us play with dolls. Ugh. Once, I came out of the bathroom at my grandmother's house, and he was standing at the end of the hall. I see him in mirrors a lot, too. I've been laying in bed, reading a book, and see him walk by the open bedroom door. A few times I've come out of the bedroom and seen him standing in my daughter's room across the hall. Oh my goodness. I specifically remember one time when I thought my daughter saw him too, but she was too young to talk. I had her in the bathtub and had half turned to reach the baby shampoo behind me. I saw him out of the corner of my eye. When I fully turned to face him, he slowly backed out of the room without making a sound, almost as if he was gliding, not walking. This was in the middle of the day, under a bright bathroom light, and my daughter's eyes followed him as well. What do you guys think of that one?
I'm starting to think or wonder if the Hatman is more than one.
Yeah.
They talked about that in the Encounters episode on Believing the Bizarre. I think they talked about that.
Like if there are multiple Hatman entities. And maybe
Hatmen.
And maybe they all mean... Sorry, Teddy, I didn't mean to cut you off. My brain started going and I didn't
I wonder if it's a
Like a parasite?
a parallel.
Oh.
Parallel person.
Oh. So everyone has a shadow man, but only some people can see, or a shadow man or hat man, but only some people can see them.
Or only some hat men appear to their people.
Right.
Because I don't remember which source I got it from, but some say he runs in families, or that he appears to different generations in families. So I'm kind of wondering if it's maybe something that comes from a culture that really doesn't exist anymore. Or who knows, maybe could be a manifestation of our literal shadows. I don't know.
Is it kind of like how different families in like different Irish families have their own banshees attached to them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In this case, this specific, like, it just strikes me, the biggest thing that strikes me with this story is that the lack of negative energy.
Yeah, that's an outlier for a lot of the stories I've heard.
Yeah. And especially, I know this maybe sounds a little ridiculous, but when they described the story of them playing with their dog, and the dog, unless I had a wrong visual in my head, it sounded like the dog ran to the tree line where this thing was standing. And I 100% believe animals can sense and feel things that we can't, and maybe can see things that we can't. I will 100% trust an animal's intuition. Like if my dog is standing there with his hackles raised, barking or growling at something, I'm gonna be like, okay, something's bad here. It sounds like this dog just ran right up, got the ball, and came back. Didn't have any. So it doesn't sound like particularly negative.
Yeah, and it sucks that no one else saw it.
Yeah.
Right? Because
except for potentially the baby.
who can't talk. Like, that would be so validating.
I will share my story. So, in doing the research for this episode, I have never experienced the Hatman, or really any shadow figures, humanoid shadow figures.
Humanoid shadow figures.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay.
We are recording at my house this round, and my house came with some interesting features.
Came with it. Your parents signed the thing, and they're like, by the way, the spirits are included at no cost. Congratulations.
Yeah.
This cannot be refunded. Bye! Peace out!
In doing the research for this episode, I did have something appear at the end of my bed. A shadow figure did appear at the end of my bed. Now, my general reaction to anything showing up is just like, okay, whatever, bye. I'm very done with just general spirits and paranormal entities showing themselves to me. I'm like, I'm good. Just go away. So I was in bed, I saw it, and I just rolled over. I don't remember. It was a particularly tall shadow figure. It was about as tall as my closet door, which I think it's at least 6 feet. It might be 7 feet tall. I'll have to measure it later.
Okay.
But it really was just like checking me out. Like, what are you? And I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm going back to bed. But that was something that happened that hasn't happened before. It was a new entity in the house, and I haven't seen it since. So.
And you said you saw this while you were doing the research for this episode.
Yeah, I've been doing the research on and off.
Sure.
So. Yeah, it was.
It's just strange that it appeared at that moment.
Yeah,
that's a very like head tilt.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I'm like, all right, good night.
Do you want to move on to our interesting facts?
I'm down.
Oh, I'm so excited for this.
All right.
I found this absolutely fascinating when I discovered it.
Okay.
This was another feature video done by Slapped Hand Mysteries on YouTube. It is about the California Dark Watchers. And they are shadow figures in long cloaks with wide-brimmed hats, and are known to be up to 10 feet tall. And it's several of them. They are specifically noted to be along the Santa Lucia Mountains in the southern coast of California. Please let me know if I'm saying that wrong. I tried my best. The first reports of these watchers came from the indigenous tribes in the area, and then the Spanish settlers saw them, and now even still modern day hikers are seeing them. They are quiet, passive. They don't really interact with anyone or, try and go after anyone. And they are just watching.
Why did my first...
Did you go to Buffy?
No.
Okay.
My brain went to cult on stilts.
It's on stilts.
That's an old cult.
It is.
It's a very old cult.
Maybe it's just kept in the family. It's like your destiny is to
Walk around in a cloak on stilts.
and just stare at people.
That's me as a poltergeist.
We always come back to that.
You're right.
Well, Christiana's decided what she's doing with her afterlife.
I have, yeah. I know I'm gonna be one of the most unhinged poltergeists on this planet. Not particularly aggressive, unless you've done mean things to people, in which case I'll hurt you. But
Set things on fire.
I'll set things on fire. But for the most part, I just want to be completely unhinged. I want to run around your house at night going, "It's Britney, bitch!"
What record would you put on someone's record player if they have one, if you were a poltergeist?
That's a hard question.
I think it would depend on my mood, right?
Yeah.
Like, if I wanted to be really creepy, I'd put on like classical music, like songs,
Ooh.
like Dance Macabre.
Yeah.
If I just really wanted to wake people up, I'd put on Fall Out Boy.
My first thought went to Linkin Park because, it's Linkin Park, that's my boys. And girl now, because Emily Armstrong, what's up? But I love Linkin Park. That's my favorite band. But I also feel like I would just do like the Has-Been Hotel theme.
Oh my goodness, we should just
Let's speak.
sing on. You got those big piano chords that bump, bump, bump.
Yes. At like 3 a.m.
It's high too.
Something like that. I don't know.
It's so long that I can't get my whole right. I don't have enough fingers. They don't stretch long enough.
Yeah.
So when I'm playing that, I play the left hand chord, and then I have to do left over right and use part of my left hand to play the right hand chord.
Yeah.
You can't see what I'm doing with my hands. But I'm having to cross over to play the high note from the right hand part with my left hand.
Yeah. It's intense. It's an intense piece of music. What's your poltergeist record, Teddy?
My immediate thought was, you spin me. Like a record. Yep, that's generally my vibe.
I love it.
That would work. Yeah.
Or,
That's perfect.
Hungry Eyes. I'm a real like. I have a really weird like sense of music because it spans like late 70s through the early 2000s. So
Sure.
like that's just peak music for me.
Love it. I love it.
Start dropping like Rasputin. Or like Istanbul, not Constantinople.
We need to form a poltergeist club, guys.
A poltergeist club.
We in our afterlives, we're gonna meet once a month, and we're just gonna go to a person's house and just put random music on. Just R.I.P. to those people.
All right, so our next
Moving on.
additional thought was I just found this interesting on the Ripley's website about sleep paralysis. One of the earliest accounts came from the year 1664, and a Dutch physician described this phenomenon as an incubus or nightmare affecting one of his patients. So, like, sleep paralysis isn't something that's new, which isn't surprising because it has to do with how the brain works.
Yes, that is kind of the origin of nightmares and
The old hag.
The old hag, these incubus and succubus demons of them just sitting on your chest are these nightmares and these episodes of sleep paralysis.
Mm-hmm. It's scary.
It is. And it's interesting from a sociological, historical standpoint, too, because we've talked about this in a couple episodes of people create legends and stories to explain what they can't explain. So that makes total sense, especially for that time period of we didn't know how the brain worked. We didn't know how sleep worked. It's just interesting to think about it from an outside looking in kind of view.
We don't understand it, so it's obviously demons. All right, question number 1. What drew you to this topic?
It's really just that I had no prior experience, or like I didn't really know anyone until recently who had experienced this. So it was completely new to me.
You both drew me to this topic. Because same answer. I knew nothing about this until, said this earlier, until Bria and I became friends. I did not know about this. And I think I kind of also was one of those kids who very much was socialized, like, ghosts aren't real, this stuff isn't real. If you see something weird, shut it down. Because I know I used to be terrified of the dark as a kid, and I kind of wonder if maybe I did see something, and then I've just trained myself out of it.
Oh, it's locked in your subconscious now.
Yeah, I don't know. When I say seen, I've seen things. I don't know that I necessarily saw Hatman, because I have never heard of that until recently. But I know, like, I would wake up in the middle of the night in my bedroom, and I would, like, I remember this very vividly. At one point, I went to get out of bed to go to my mom and dad's room because I was scared. And don't ask me where this came from. I saw a flash in front of my eyes of, like, an evil clown.
Oh my God, that's awful.
Like, think of it.
No,
like,
I don't want to.
Like that, but that was the image in my head. And it was weird. And I still remember that to this day. So I'm like, was that just me being, like, half asleep as a kid and being scared? Or was I seeing some weird shit? I don't know.
I like how I've known you for like 13 years, and on this podcast, you drop things that you've never told me before.
I don't think about
We've
it.
known each other for like 13 years, right?
Something like that, yeah.
I like spooky things. Yeah, that's a blanket statement. I like spooky things. This is one of the few paranormal things that, like, actively scares me, which is why Teddy did this episode and I didn't. And this is why we're recording it at Teddy's house and not mine.
Yeah.
One of the few things that actually scares me. Is there a rabbit hole you'd like to follow further from this episode?
This episode has inspired a couple different topics, I think. Dreams, for one, because I don't know if I've shared any of my dreams with you, but I've definitely sent screenshots of my dream notes to you. And
Yes.
I have some very interesting dreams, and I generally remember most of them, which is not the common experience.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that really true?
Yeah, most people don't remember their dreams.
Oh, I learned something. Okay. I remember mine in excruciating detail.
Yeah, so do I. That's
That's why we gotta learn.
that's not the norm.
If I can jump in here, I want to do a whole episode about sleep paralysis because that's a very interesting, like, physiological phenomenon as well. It's terrifying. But I want to do, and lucid dreaming. I want to do an episode about dreams and lucid dreaming at some point. So we'll have to follow that.
You may just have to have me back on the podcast.
Oh, man. No.
Whether you want it or not, I'm coming.
Yes.
The California Dark Watchers would definitely be one. I also think it would be cool not to do sleep paralysis itself, but, like, the history of sleep paralysis demons and the like.
I had that same thought of doing the California Dark Watchers, Cults on Stilts. Love you guys, shout out. And also I'd be
Cults on Stilts.
I'd be kind of curious to see if there are more encounters of people seeing a Hatman or Hatman-like figure that isn't putting off that, like, real negative energy. Because that's really interesting to me.
Now for the last question.
What did you find most strange about this topic?
That one person didn't have any negative feelings with this. I almost said sleep paralysis demon with the Hatman. That's like the outlier, which is plausible. I mean, it's possible, but that was the weirdest thing for me.
And how it runs the gamut of like just so many different people having the same story from all over.
Oh, like how the internal validity,
Yeah.
consistency.
Also, what I find the most fascinating
Yeah.
is it's fairly consistent for a ghost story.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true. Or even a shadow person story.
Right.
They're not climbing on the walls like Spider-Man.
I really hope they're not. That's terrifying.
Well, I can't see in the dark anyway, so I mean, I can see in the dark very well. I can't see without my glasses.
Mood.
Yeah. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a suggestion for a strange or mysterious topic, a comment about an episode, or just want to chat, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you again. Comment directly on episodes on Spotify, leave a review on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or find us on Instagram at something_strangepod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at something_strangepod and comment on episodes there. Or you can send us a Gmail at somethingstrangepod24@gmail.com.
Well, strangers, it's time for us to part ways.
Remember to keep your lights on.
We'll be back again soon with another
Something Strange.